Turning now to our other top story, tensions rising between the White House and congressional Democrats who are now threatening Trump officials with contempt. The House Judiciary Committee set to vote tomorrow on a contempt citation against Attorney General Bill Barr. Democrats are demanding that Barr hand over an unredacted version of the Mueller report and call starting for Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to be held in contempt for refusing to hand over the president's tax returns. Meanwhile, the administration is ordering former White House counsel Don McGahn not to comply with a congressional subpoena for documents related to the Russia investigation. And all of this comes as a new report says, get this, House Democrats are threatening to withhold salaries of Trump administration officials if they block ongoing committee investigations. Despite claims of overreach from Republicans, Democrats are defending their multiple probes.
As members of Congress, we have a responsibility to oversee what this White House and this administration is doing. And I can only hope that as the months go by, that the American people will wake up to the fact that our democracy is in danger.
So our leader says, let's move on. It's sort of like Richard Nixon saying, let's move on at the height of the investigation of his wrongdoing. Of course, he wants to move on. He wants to cover up.
We're about getting the truth to the American people. The truth is what we want to base our decisions on, and the administration should be willing to share that unless they have something to hide.
And then you've got the media blasting Republicans for defending the president.
You look at Barr, you look at Pompeo, he has now surrounded himself with the most duplicitous cabinet in recent American history. It's shameful.
They want a one-party state. That is what the GOP seeks, and Trump wants to be an autocrat with that state behind him.
How is it that the Republican Party, your colleagues, can stand by this man when he is involved in this way with Russia? I mean, you know, I said last week that I don't want to see any of those flag pins anymore on Republicans who don't stand up against this guy for Russian meddling and other things that he's done. It seems as though he's unpatriotic.
Where to even begin? Greg Gutfeld, let's go to you. McConnell today spoke for the first time, really, gave a long speech and said case closed in addition to move on. And then it was funny to watch Chuck Schumer complain about that because move on comes from
MoveOn.org, which came from the whole point of moving on from the Clinton scandals. You know, yes. The Dems are desperate. They're like a tiny little army faced with a dwindling patch of turf to defend. Because remember how big the threat was a couple years ago? Trump was insane. He was racist. He was a threat to world safety and the economy. Now you've got the greatest economy in 50 years, low unemployment. What do they have? What are they clinging to? Tax returns, and their feelings are hurt over the Mueller report, which they asked for and they got. By the way, if you're going to scream about cover-up and conspiracy, stick to stuff like JFK or space aliens, not something that's publicly available. It's really hard to call cover-up when something is publicly available, you morons. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of growing up watching the Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals, right? Trump is the Harlem Globetrotters, and the media and the Democrats are the Washington Generals. They can only respond helplessly against this strange phenomenon that continually wins, and they never adjust or adapt to play against the Harlem Globetrotters because they just lose every time. Imagine a group of people, cultists, who demand that you adhere to their delusions or they will punish you. That's what's going on right now. They are demanding you, the media, The View, all these morning what's-his-face, are basically belonging to a pagan religion in which they adhere to some kind of emotional belief that goes against all the facts. Low unemployment among minorities, among women. You've got GDP. You got the stock market moving up, even though it drops every now and then. You got a great time, peace and prosperity. But their pagan cult religion has them telling everybody the world's going to hell. And even Speaker Pelosi today said, look, Trump is trying to goad us into impeaching him. She clearly doesn't want to do it, but she might get pushed into it. I also am just reading here that Interior, Commerce, and Justice Department staff, of course, that's the executive branch, Jesse, they're warned they will have their salaries withheld if they block ongoing committee investigations. I've been through it in a lot of these disputes. I never heard of that. The Republicans didn't think about that in Benghazi.
Yeah, those are some brass-knuckle tactics. Yeah. You got to give the Democrats credit. I mean, this is political warfare. Why can't we withhold their salaries, by the way? I think that should also be an option because they've lied for 2 years about the president.
They should withhold Trump's. Oh, wait, he doesn't take one.
Oh, that's right. He donates it to the exact departments that people are trying to work for. So here's what's happening now. Nadler is like a peeping Tom. It's gotten creepy now. He's peering through the windows. He's looking at people's diaries, rummaging through the garbage. At that point, it just gets sick, and he looks weird. And right now, Mueller spent, 2 years looking for something, didn't find a crime. The Democrats can't accept the results of the Mueller report, just as they can't accept the results of the 2016 election. The bottom line is, Dana, is this. Without collusion, this scandal's not sexy. You don't have dead bodies, you don't have sex, you don't have bribery, you don't have video, you don't have anything compelling.
You know what's really not sexy is contempt.
Right.
Contempt of Congress.
Perfect. Contempt, attempted obstruction, executive privilege. The American people, they don't have the appetite for that type of scandal. They can only digest so much. I don't even think the American people know who Don McGahn is. I think I went outside in the street, I asked 10 people who William Barr is. Less than half would know who he is. So right now we have a new Q poll. Quinnipiac, Juan. Public now opposes impeachment by a 37-point margin. 70% of independents are against the idea, but the Democratic base, they want it. So they need another constitutional crisis, so they have to cook up a new crime after the investigation found no crime.
And there was another new poll, Juan. I'm kidding. I never do that to you. A Gallup poll, though. This was interesting. It shows he's more popular than ever before. This is the number now, 46%. And that hits, or I think beats where President Obama was at this time in his presidency.
Yeah, we went over this yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
Jesse
sorry,
was
aren't you
trumpeting
sorry, Greg?
the number.
We weren't here yesterday, remember?
Yeah,
we got in trouble for it.
But I think that's good news for President Trump. I mean, obviously, he's still underwater. But, you know, the question is, you know, who's moving in those polls? What we see, actually, is independents aren't moving. Slight movement among Democrats. But what
independents did move one.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Okay. Let's not argue, because I just think the facts are pretty clear.
No, they went up from 31 to 39.
Okay, all right. The point is that when you have what Greg is talking about is a cult, I think to myself, who won the last election in terms of popular vote? I think it was a Democrat. Right now, most Americans don't approve, to cite the poll, of Trump's behavior as president of the United States.
More popular than Obama at this time.
Even with the economy up there, this guy still can't get a majority of Americans to approve of his conduct as president.
But that number of 46 is, Dagan, I think, higher than both what Hillary and Trump were as candidates. Like, neither of them ever, broke to 43, I don't think.
And his approval rating on the economy is much higher because, again, this country is so prosperous right now, and wages are growing. We can get into this later. Wages are growing faster for production workers. Say, if you work in mining or retail, your wages are growing faster than even supervisory jobs. Guess what that does? It closes the wealth gap.
Yeah, from a low level.
Well,
who gave us that low level?
Wait just a second. The wages are growing at the fastest pace in a decade. That is not something that President Obama could ever do. Decade. I want to add one thing, though.
Okay.
You brought up Hillary Clinton. Hillary! Let's talk about Hillary. And we're thankful that she's not the President of the United States and have to listen to that every day, number one. And number two, in terms of all of these TV talk show hosts, how close are we to one of them having a Reagan-McNeil moment where they are just so enraged and full of bile that they just spew pea soup all over the audience? And then they will understand how we feel having to watch these clips every day.
Can I just follow up, though, on the whole business about the war? Because I think there's a big war going on between the White House and Congress over these documents. I think it's very interesting when you know, whether people know who Don McGahn is or not. Obviously, he was the White House lawyer that was brought in by Mueller and apparently said to Mueller that Trump had instructed him.
With the blessing of the president, right.
So, but now the White House is saying, we're not going to let you have the documents that McGahn had. And you think to yourself, well, how's that possible? Because some of this is, as you point out, already in a report that's largely been made public. Some of it's redacted. Some of the underlying documents have been kept secret. But McGahn's there. So I don't know how you then go on to claim something like executive privilege. To me, the logic doesn't make sense. It looks like the president is hiding something. He's acting like a guilty man.
I think it's really hard to run for re-election saying that you ran for 2 years on this issue.
What I'm really excited is that CNN is going to have a Comey town hall. And why is that necessary? Why would you have a town hall with James Comey?
Got to keep it alive.
You've got to keep it alive because the profit motive for CNN and MSNBC is always going to be conflict. And because they betrayed their audience with the lie of collusion, they have to keep. It's like they're at a bar bar that's running out of booze, so now they have watered-down booze. So Comey is their watered-down booze that they're feeding to their eyeballs, who are so pissed off that it didn't work out that way. So it's not about Congress. It's not about a battle between Congress and Trump. It's the polarity between media and America. The media is so upset that this narrative collapsed.
What do you say to then when Chris Wray, the FBI director, testifies today, gee, I didn't see any, there's no evidence of any spying that I'm aware of?
Well,